If you are a white quarterback in the NFL, and I don't want to make this racial, but this is why this is significant to me, it is hard for most of us to quickly off the top of our heads think of a starting quarterback in the NFL that's white who came from an impoverished background. It's just not normally what we associate with it. If Lamar Jackson talks about that, hey, where I came from was tough and literacy rate is not high and poverty level is really high, that does not strike us as outside the box. There's so many athletes with that story, so many African-American athletes and people of color with that story in our sports. There's not a lot of white quarterbacks, I'm not saying white people, because certainly there is so many people across America, all shades and colors and creeds, that includes white people, that come from difficult, impoverished backgrounds. That is not rare. But for quarterbacks in the NFL, what we think of is the Peyton Mannings, who are kind of royalty, or the Tom Bradys, who grew up with enough money to go to Niners playoff games. We think of Drew Brees coming from structured, stable family household. That's just what we know and what we associate with so many NFL quarterbacks, and white specifically NFL quarterbacks. So to hear Joe Burrow talk about, where I'm from is poor and illiterate, was the first sign of, oh, this guy's different. And that was not something to be ashamed of, but something instead to illuminate and to help change. That's also another part of this. That Joe Burrow stands up there on that podium and is not embarrassed of where he came from. It is, we need to shed light on this. We need to change this. This made me who I was, but this is not okay. That my community can't read, and my community has overdoses all the time, and my community is impoverished. Well, that's a significant thing to hear from the number one pick in the NFL draft, who's going to be a quarterback. And then to step out here and say something like this on Twitter before he's played an NFL game, again, is significant. This is a young man that maybe by going to Ohio State and not having any playing time and having a fight for PT and snaps and not being good enough to do so because there was so much talent ahead of him, maybe has learned a set of different lessons as a quarterback, and maybe coming from where he has come from is a different type of leader than we've seen in the past. It's not out of a petri dish of, okay, you watch Peyton Manning and how he did it and you just become that type of guy. I think so many young quarterbacks look at it as kind of like a guidebook. You go to the Elite 11 camps and you do this and you play for this high school team and you go to this coaching camp and then, you say all the right things and, you kind of hold yourself a certain way. I mean, there's kind of a conceptual leadership position when it comes to NFL quarterback. And Joe Burrow's kind of throwing that out, and I love it. I love it. This dude is real. And the realness, combined with how great of a football player he was last year, makes me believe he can be really different. He could be a great quarterback, but also a real person and a guy that can really lead, that has a locker room's ear. Because how many quarterbacks in the NFL come from a background totally different than most of their teammates? Probably a lot of them. Probably a lot of starting quarterbacks in the NFL can't necessarily relate to the guy that came from a broken household in a drug-infested neighborhood that needed football to get him out so that he didn't become a gangbanger or a drug dealer or in jail. Probably not a lot of quarterbacks can do so. And here is Joe Burrow admitting, man, my upbringing was not much better than yours. The places that I've been, I've seen, that I've been around, my area, my region, I get it. And this is about you guys, this fight right now, and I'm with you guys. That's pretty heady stuff. The pride of Joe Burrow. He's going to be a good one.